Peter Weber was born in the Bochnia ghetto, located in Bochnia, Poland. He lived in the ghetto with his parents, Lola Price and Aaron Price, until 1944, when a certain group of people managed to escape from the ghetto, among whom was also his 17-year-old uncle, Shlomo Kolnigsberg. After escaping, he was brought into a Slovak state and grew up knowing neither of his parents, not even their names. He was raised instead by a Czech Christian family, but they respected his Jewish identity and gave him a Jewish upbringing. As he got older, he got to know his Czech family. For example, his adoptive father, Joseph Weber, worked as a technical clerk, mainly building washing machines, and had been doing this since he graduated from vocational college. His adoptive father was also very strict, and around 50 years older than Peter, having been born in 1892. He made Peter work all the time around the house to compensate for Peter being allowed to live in his house, as well as being a part of his family. Near the end of his life, Joseph started working as a cannonball maker in Pilsen, in the Czech Republic. 10 years later, he retired and died in September of 1959. Peter's adoptive mother's maiden name was Marie Falotova. She was born in Prague in 1896. Unlike her husband, Joseph Weber, she likely only had a basic education. It is unknown when exactly she married Joseph Weber. Also, unlike Joseph, she never actually held a job anywhere. However, after the war, she worked as a seamstress at home. She sewed things for factories. She also died in Chalupi, a little village by Pilsen, in March of 1958. Having a child in any camp is dangerous for that child. If the child couldn't work and couldn't be treated with proper care, then it would die. If Peter Weber hadn't been able to escape the labor camp, as well as having a family to support him, we wouldn't have the amazing stories that he gave us after the war. It is truly a miracle that Peter survived, although his biological parents had no choice but to let their son go while they stayed behind in the camp. Soon after Peter left his parents to find safety, but both of his parents died. After the war ended, Peter continued to be brought up by his adoptive parents, much to his biological uncle's dismay. In 1949, Peter and his adoptive family returned from Pilsen to Joseph Weber's native village of Chalupi, which is also in the Pilsen region, about 30 kilometers away from the regional city. During the years of 1949 and 1950, Peter attended a small, one-classroom schoolhouse. However, the one-room schoolhouse was closed down along with many others, so Peter was put into a larger school in a different town. He then attended high school, one with 11 grades, in a district town, Stad near Pilsen. Peter proved to be an excellent student and excelled at most subjects, but was especially passionate about mathematics and physics. After graduating high school at the age of 17, Peter went to study in Prague at the Faculty of Technical and Nuclear Physics, FTJF, and studied design of nuclear power systems, which was during the years 1959 to 1961. However, after 2 years, Peter left on a scholarship for the Soviet Union to Moscow, where he finished his studies in 1965. He then went on to work on helping to build the first Czechoslovak nuclear power station. Later, in 1971, Peter found himself in a completely different line of work, tech and computers. For the majority of his working life, he worked as a programmer for computers. From 1971 up until his retirement in 1995, Peter worked as a programmer for Inhedonen in the computer technology company, PVT. Peter's wife's name is Vera Nie Baderova and is Jewish. She was born in Brno in a maternity hospital. She spent most of her early years in Kyjov, but spent many of her earliest years in the Teresian concentration camp during the Holocaust. Her mother tongue is Czech. She's a graduate of nursing school and has worked her whole life as a nurse, initially at an ophthalmological ward and then as a scrub nurse during surgery. She had one sibling, an older brother, whose name is Jiri. Unfortunately, Jiri died during the Holocaust in Auschwitz death camp, along with her father, Max. Only she and her mother survived. After the war, they then lived in Kyjov, never moved anywhere. She married a man of Jewish origin, had a son, who she named Jiri, with him, and later divorced him in 1970. Peter and Vera knew each other for nearly a decade before they got married in 1976. They had a simple civil wedding, with only a few witnesses. After retiring in 1995, Peter has become an active member in the Brno Jewish community, where he resides with his wife to this day.